Welcome to the Indian Sun. I'm Indira Lystrom. My guest today is Kavita Maharaj, a principal lawyer in Slater Gordons Motor Vehicle Accident Team based in Brisbane. She's a member of the Queensland Law Society, Australian Lawyers Alliance, Australian Asian Lawyers Association, Young Lawyers Association, and Women Lawyers Association, Queensland. Kavita is here to share some insights into Australia's gig economy and why, for instance, the overall lack of training and support provided by global companies to their workers is concerning. Welcome, Kavita, to our show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show and, letting me express my views and opinions.
It's our pleasure. I'm going to start with a question on what exactly is the gig economy for the benefit of our audience.
Yeah, so gig economy is basically, the Uber drivers and the delivery ride workers. So they basically what they do is download an app on the phone and basically find a way to earn money. It's a very popular way to, just download an app on your phone and work, basically, yeah.
So would you say that these are employees without the benefits of employees in that sense?
Exactly, yeah. So these people, some of them are, migrant workers who are here sometimes on temporary visas as well. And it becomes quite easy for them to download this app, get a job quickly because it might be hard for them to find full-time work. And there are these delivery workers, these rideshare workers are independent contractors. They're not employees. So they don't get the minimum wage, the superannuation, the paid sick leave, or more importantly, access to workers' compensation, which is a problem if you get injured while working, because you could end up in financial distress and struggle to survive on the day-to-day. Unfortunately, 5 delivery workers have actually died on the New South Wales roads recently.
Mm-hmm. Now, Gordon and Slater, your firm has, Slater Gordon, has recently done a survey on these share ride, Uber drivers, share riders, they call them, or Uber drivers, right? And what were some of the findings of that research?
We commissioned this research with Kenta Australia, and we started this because we're concerned about the safety of these workers, of these gig economy workers. We surveyed about 250 people, 80 rideshare workers and 170 food delivery workers. The research was conducted very recently. It was done in January and February this year. Both Australian and migrant workers, including from India, were surveyed. And it showed that more than 52% people, the 52% of food delivery and rideshare workers said they were not provided with safety training or thorough safety advice before they started working with the gig economy platforms, which is concerning.
So there is no clear-cut law on protecting these workers, right?
There have been some measures taken, but there are state and federal legislation loopholes, making it quite easy for these workers to be exploited. We've been calling for these workers to be considered as employees at a national level in Australia, so they have access to the same rights and entitlements as employees in Australia. Menulog recently they reclassified their workers to provide them with minimum wage and super contribution, which is a step in the right direction. The Victorian government have announced that they intend to provide their gig workers with more benefits, same as employees. Federal Labor opposition have said they will regulate the gig economy by establishing an independent body to deliver set minimum pay and conditions if they're elected. And Uber have introduced recently some safety equipment like lights, bells, safety vests for Uber Eats riders. No helmets though, just the technology to check if they're wearing their helmets. So there are some safety regulations that are coming in place slowly, but that's not enough. This is something that should have been done before the workers had downloaded the apps and started working. improving safety is good, but it doesn't solve the issue that these workers are still not entitled to minimum wage or sick leave and are still locked out of most of workers' compensation schemes around Australia.
Mm-hmm. So, and your practice areas is in the motor vehicles accidents, isn't it? So, what is the rate of, you mentioned about 5 cases of deaths, right, between New South Wales and where was it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So, what are some of the challenges faced by drivers or workers of the gig economy? And do you think companies are not enforcing rigid workplace structures?
The challenges, so, some of these there's obviously, if they're involved in a car accident or, if the workers are migrant workers, they're not familiar with the road rules, some might have language difficulties. So it's important that the employers, the companies, the apps, train these workers and provide them with safety instruction and guidance before they actually start the work. I guess the challenge for these workers, Indira, is that if they're involved in a incident or mishap, then they're not entitled to treatment or loss of sick leave and things like that under the workers' compensation schemes. So yeah, that's a challenge for these workers.
And the majority of them are students as well, aren't they?
I don't have the data in front of me, but they a lot of these people are, they're people who are trying to get quick money. Some of them do it to supplement their income, but there are some people who do it for quick money and people who can't secure full-time work.
Okay. And what is the healthy hourly rate for a gig worker?
They're not paid hourly rates. So, in UK recently, the courts forced Uber to pay the rideshare workers a minimum wage, but only while they're driving. So only if you're transporting the customer, you are entitled to minimum wage. But in Australia, at the moment, there is no minimum wage, no super, no sick leave, no annual leave.
And yet, Australia is big on the gig economy, isn't it? Because it's a substantial stream of income for a lot of people, and also the fact that there is a lot of flexibility,
They do. It is flexible. And they're selling it. These big companies are selling it on the basis that you can be your own boss. It's flexible. You can be your own boss. But courts here and overseas have found that the riders and the drivers are not as independent as they're told they are. You have to work when there's demand, when there's meal times and during peak hours. You have to spend hours waiting for work. They have very little bargaining power, wages and hours or conditions. So, it's if you look at it, if you look at the costs involved in running your car, the petrol and the time loss, then, it's a lack of safety net if something happens. Then, it is convenient to have your food delivered at your doorstep, but it's at the cost, at what cost to the workers. That's something that we have to, think about as well.
And that's a really a very, very important issue, isn't it? And in rethinking these laws, the system, there would be a lot of challenges. What would be those challenges from a lawyer's point of view?
Obviously, the federal and state legislation loopholes will be hard. The national federal government have said that they will, look into this and provide better changes. But there's lots of steps to be taken. Challenges to make sure there's unity across the states. It has to be a national change as well. And also to make sure that the workers get the same rights and benefits as all the other Australian workers as well.
So do you think there would be some change coming up in the next few years or so for these workers?
The changes, yeah.
In the sense, protection, I mean.
Yeah, look, they've already started taking steps. Like I said, New South Wales have put in some safety precautions. They've made sure it's compulsory for companies to provide safety training. Victorian government have said they'll do better things for the employees as well. Queensland, I have to sort of, check on what their view is as well. But Queensland is sort of up there with the amount of safety incidents that have been reported to the health and safety organizations, so they have to make sure that it's on their radar as well. So I think looking at what overseas people are doing and other states are doing, I think we will be forced to look into the safety and legal rights and entitlements of these workers. I think it's something that is on everybody's radar at the moment.
And would you have any idea, like, how does Australia's gig economy compare to other countries? Are workers more protected in other countries? Do you have sort of a comparison?
So yeah, the UK courts have recently ordered Uber that they need to treat their Uber drivers with, they have to give them minimum wages, which Australian Uber drivers don't get, and they have to pay the super as well. So that's a positive step. Let's hope Australia follows their footsteps too.
Okay. Any other thoughts that you wanted to add on this particular topic?
It is a very it is a very important topic at the moment, and I guess one of the recent things in the media has been the changes that have happened in New South Wales. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the New South Wales have put in road rules and they've given the Uber drivers this unique ID by police to make sure that they're following the road rules. Majority of the riders say these measures are too tough and will make the work more dangerous because, at the end of the day, the food delivery riders face enormous pressure to deliver food as quickly and as possible. And if they don't do it, sometimes they lose their jobs. So many of these workers are migrants as well, like I said before, and they may not understand the road rules. So I believe the responsibility should be with the employers, the companies who are making so much profit out of these workers, to make sure that they're trained, that they're safe, and also to make sure that they are protected like all the other employees are. I guess my last comments would be that if you are involved in something like that, please, even though you're migrant workers or you may not be familiar. You could be overseas students, you could be, backpackers. Even if you're not familiar with the laws, just check what your legal entitlements are. So, there could be avenues, even though you may not be covered by the workers' compensation schemes. There could be other avenues. There could be other ways that you could, get some sort of assistance. So check your legal entitlements is what I would say.
It's a very good thought. If you could just translate that in Hindi, the last few lines for our audience.
Sure. अगर आप कोई दुर्घटना में शामिल, अगर आपको कोई दुर्घटना हुआ है, अगर कोई मिसहैप हुआ है काम करते समय, आप अगर इवन तो आपके पास कर्मचारी अधिकार नहीं है, आप अपने लीगल राइट्स आप चेक करा सकते हैं किसी लॉयर्स को कॉल करके. सो अगर आपकी जिंदगी में कोई उछल पुछल हो गई है, कोई दुर्घटना हो गई है, so contact your lawyers.
Thank you so much, Kavita, for your time. Thank you.
It's okay. Thank you.